I'm Zach Thomas with the Fusion HCM product family. I'm very lucky to have with me today Aaron Green and Ro Henson, both with the Fusion HCM product family as well. The interesting thing about Aaron and Ro is they go back many years and have a very solid mentoring relationship. And you know, there have been many organizations that talk about mentoring, but not many organizations that do it very well. So I thought we'd take the time today, Ro, Aaron, to talk a little bit about your mentoring relationship and how it was effective, what it did for your career, and part of it that we don't really think about is how it did something for your career as well. So, Aaron, why don't we start with you and tell me how you met Ro, how you came to form this type of relationship.
Absolutely, Zach. So I think we formed this relationship a little bit by accident. So I met Ro when I was a customer of PeopleSoft many years ago and saw her speak at a conference. I was fortunate enough to get hired at PeopleSoft, and I think my second day at PeopleSoft, I informed Ro that she was going to be my mentor.
Informed, did
Informed,
not ask.
didn't ask.
Okay.
And we didn't have a formal mentoring relationship or program at PeopleSoft, so it was very much something that the two of us forged together.
Mm-hmm. Great. And Ro, what was your reaction when this young kid came to you and said, I inform you, you're my mentor?
So this young early 20-something guy,
so it was 5 years ago.
I'd seen one time, and I'm like, who are you, and what do you want me to do? So, but we talked about it, and I thought, well, this will be interesting. And like I think many things you enter with this, I'm not sure what value it's going to bring to me, but I know I've got a lot I can share with him. I mean, I've been in the industry for almost 40 years. He's been in it for, a few years.
4
So
months.
I know I have a lot I can teach him. That was my initial thought. But what I found after about a month is that I was learning as much from him as he was learning from me. And I think that, I'd done mentorships before. I'd been, a formal mentor in the Mentium 100, which is a great organization, by the way. But, I think what I found with a 20-something-year-old was that the way he worked, the way he thought was so foreign to the way I had grown up working and thinking. That I began to not only understand you more, but understand the next generation of worker. And so for me, what I sort of started out thinking, what the heck am I going to do with this crazy young guy? It not only, I think, grew into something meaningful for both of us, but now we have a long-term friendship that grew out of that mentorship. So
Great. And on the flip side, Aaron, what'd you get out of it?
Well, Zach, I think it's an interesting. I've gotten lots out of it. I think the most interesting thing is that as Ro and I started this mentorship, this arrangement, it was really at an interesting time in the industry as well, and in world history as well. So the baby boomers were nearing retirement. There was a new generation of workers entering the workforce, kind of what we call the Gen Yers or the millennials. And so what was tremendous about it is that Ro and I actually got to do quite a bit of research about how we thought millennials would impact the workforce, how organizations would need to deal with a new generation of workers, as well as how organizations needed to prepare for changes as baby boomers started to retire, as kind of the knowledge holders started to exit the organization, what we needed to do to skill up both the Gen X and the Gen Yers.
Sure.
So for me, it became a really amazing opportunity, not only to be mentored from somebody with decades of experience in the industry, but also to do a lot of research on exactly what we were doing together, which was this mentorship program.
Now with mentoring, most people think of it as kind of a rigid, process where maybe you're required to get together once a quarter and talk about things and, how was your relationship set up like that, or how did you just, tactically or logistically work together and make it mentoring rather than just a business relationship?
Well, I got Ro's home phone number. That was the first thing I did. No, we really tried to touch base, and in many cases it was several times a week. There was absolutely an in-person component all over the world, and I was very lucky to be able to travel with Ro and to really learn from her. And she brought me into a lot of amazing experiences and interesting customer interactions to learn what she did. And I think that became, we almost formalized a very informal arrangement.
Having done, I don't know, maybe a dozen both formal and informal mentorships, if you will, I think there's no model that's going to work the same for each person because, I mean, first of all, he was someone incredibly, geez, am I saying this on tape? Incredibly bright, you know, and eager to learn and just soaking up everything you could throw his way. So, you know, in other situations I've had where they've been forced to do a program, it's been much more, oh, we've got to meet every other Wednesday. So I think, you know, I was able to find out quickly, you know, where he knew more than me and where he knew less than me. And then what we did is supplemented that with a lot of customer interaction, which I think is obviously, whether you've been in the industry 40 years or 5 years, it's understanding what the customer is looking for and then understanding how to communicate what we're doing and how it's going to add value. And so we did, you know, travel a lot together. I mean, luckily his manager was very supportive of that. And I think that's also just in mentorships in general that I found work really well is to be mentored by someone not in your direct organization.
Interesting.
Because I think that line of command goes away and you're much more open. You're not afraid of any ramification of right or wrong.
Right.
And so, you know, I think that for at least for me, most of the really successful, one of the more, I mean, look at you now. I mean, you've had a really huge impact on Fusion, and I feel almost like a mother, very proud of that because of that program. So I think in the end, you know, what I'll say about mentoring in general is that most mentors go into it thinking they're going to, you know, give somebody a lot of growth and information. But like anything worthwhile, you know, for example, I've done mission trips thinking, oh, I'm going to go really do something good for people that are less fortunate. And I always come back feeling like I got so much more out of it than they did. And that's how I think a great mentorship is, that I think I got so much more out of it than you did because I've seen you grow and do really well. So I'm a fan of mentoring and of Aaron.
So it seems like the mentorship turned into a lifelong friendship as well,
Absolutely.
which is probably the most important thing. And I want to thank both of you for spending the time today. It's a really neat story, and I think it's something that businesses should try and figure out a way to emulate, which is probably not easy to do because obviously it involves personalities.
You know, just a final comment, because I think it's really important. As you know, I'm getting ready to retire, and at 65, and baby boomers around the world are some already have early and some are working late. But when I think people leave an organization with so much information, one of the things that a lot of companies are doing today is they're continuing that mentorship program after people retire. So as people retire, they still feel like they're connected.
Of course,
even
yeah.
though they're not on the payroll, they're connected through, you know, facilitating growth with younger employees.
Right.
And I think it's a win-win.
It is a win-win, 100%. And this is one of the areas that's not really a technology problem. I mean, there is technology that helps enable this, but like anything, how work gets done, it's all about relationships.
Right.
So
Right.
that's great. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us. For more information on Fusion HCM, please join us at oracle.com/HCM.